just because you can make the payment don't mean you can afford it. One of the biggest things holding people back right now financially is constantly getting themselves into bigger and bigger debt. And they think because they can make a payment on something that they can afford what it is, and that's always not the case. Today I want to talk about the difference between expenses and payments. So let's start with expenses. What is an expense? An expense is something that's never going to go away. No matter how much you put money into it, you got to pay for it every month. You got car insurance, you got gas, electricity, food, all these things that accrue every single month that is never going to go away. You can't just cancel it. You can't pay it off. There is no end balance. You're going to have it every single month. So for example, let's look at a car minus the car payment. So you got your car insurance, you got your gas, your maintenance, your repairs. All these are expenses that come with the car. For your house, you have food, you got water, electricity, overall utilities, right? All these things encompass the expense of just living in that house. So that doesn't mean expenses is necessarily like a bad thing or anything like that. It's just something that we always have to pay and we'll always have to live with, unfortunately. But a good thing is that we manage our finances correctly and we watch what our expenses are going to, then we'll be all right. And God sees value in counting the cost of things and not just reacting to what may seem affordable. Luke 14:28 reads, "Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if there's enough money to complete it?" This is basically saying that when you are wanting to do something and there are expenses that are surrounded by it, you're going to have a plan on how those expenses are going to get paid. And you're going to make sure you have enough money to cover them. All right, now let's get into the sensitive subject, payments. Now, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings here. I just want to really hone into what payments are and why they are holding you back financially. So payments are something that's tied to a debt or a loan, something that you have borrowed money on, a house, a car, student loans, medical bills, credit cards. These are all things that you make monthly payments on that has a end goal or an end payment of it, end balance, I should say. And at that end balance, when it's paid off, you no longer have to pay it, right? Where we get in trouble is the making the minimum payments on these balances and allowing the interest to accrue. And then now, like student loans, right? People pay student loans for their whole life because they're constantly paying the minimum balance on that student loan instead of putting more money towards it. Now these interests accrue every single month, and it seems like there's no end goal to that loan. The way we get hemmed up with payments is, suppose you go to buy a new car, right? And when you walk into the car lot, you see the car that you want, but it has a sticker on it. It says $50,000 cash. Now it's going to be a little intimidating and you might be less inclined to buy that car. So instead what they do is they'll put a sticker that says $600 per month. So now instead of focusing on that one-time cash value of $50,000, obviously a lot of people can't afford that. So they see that $600 a month and they be like, oh yeah, I can fit that in my budget. I can afford that. So I'm more inclined to pay that $600 a month minimum balance on this $50,000 car and not realize the interest that accrues with it every single month. And now you end up paying tens of thousands of dollars more than what the car is even worth. Especially when the car is paid off, 6 years later, it's depreciated in value so much. Now look, I'm not saying you're bad or you're wrong for having payments, right? We all get in a pinch. Not all of us can go out and just buy a car for thousands of dollars, right? We all can't do that. So there are times where we do have to take out these payments. The goal is to minimize the amount of loans we're taking out and to minimize the amount of payments we're making. And when we're making these payments, paying above that minimum balance. So when you have debt and you're able to pay off certain debt, it frees up money to now pay off more on other debt. Proverbs 22:7 reminds us that the borrower is slave to the lender. And payments often represent an obligation to somebody else. It's not freedom and it's not ownership. The scary thing with payments is When you start missing payments, or God forbid something happens, you're unable to start making payments, whatever you have can be taken away from you. If something is paid off, paid in full, it doesn't matter because there's no payment attached to it. Nobody can take that away from you. So here's a key difference between expenses and payments. Expenses is something we're never going to be able to get away from. We have to pay electricity, we have to pay utilities, we have to have food, we have to have insurance, we have to pay for gas. These are things that accrue every single month that is never going to go away. For payments is always attached to an obligation that we have borrowed money from somebody with an end balance eventually that we can pay off. So once that balance is paid off, we no longer have that payment. So it's very wise that we're ensuring that we're paying attention to not only the payments we're making every month, but the expenses as well that comes along with those payments. And God calls us to be intentional with our planning and not just making impulse decisions. And that intentional planning starts with a written down monthly budget. So when we manage God's money, we look beyond the monthly bill, we count the full cost, and we choose wisdom over immediate convenience. So be wise, count the costs, and steward well. I pray this video has helped you in some way, making a difference in your finances. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with somebody who may need it. And I'll see you in the next one.